January 7, 1943. Room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel. Nikola Tesla, the man who gave the world alternating current, wireless communication, and visions of technologies decades ahead of their time, died alone at age 86. When his body was discovered, a single document sat on his desk. Within hours before Tesla's nephew could enter the room, before any family member could claim his belongings, FBI agents were already inside, sealing the room, cataloging everything in that document. The last thing Tesla worked on before he died vanished into government custody. It has never been seen again. What was on that paper? Why did the FBI move so fast? And what was Tesla working on in his final hours that the government deemed too dangerous for the world to know? If you want answers to questions most people are afraid to ask, subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear connects to technologies that still don't officially exist 80 years later. The room was small, cramped, nothing like what you'd expect for a man who once dined with presidents and titans of industry. By 1943, Tesla was broke, surviving on a small stipend from the Yugoslav government, feeding pigeons in Bryant Park, wearing the same threadbare suit he'd worn for years. The grandeur was gone, the fame had faded, but the mind, that relentless, obsessive mind, never stopped working. Tesla had been holed up in that hotel room for over a decade, working in isolation, filling notebooks with calculations, diagrams, theories that he claimed would change everything. Free energy, wireless power transmission, weather control, a particle beam weapon he called his Peace Ray, capable of bringing down entire fleets of aircraft from 250 miles away. Wild claims, but here's the thing, Tesla had made wild claims before, and most of them came true. On the morning of January 8, 1943, a maid entered Tesla's room and found him dead in bed. No signs of struggle, no indication of foul play, just an old man who'd reached the end. But on the desk, clearly visible to the maid, to the hotel manager, to everyone who saw the room before authorities arrived, was a single document. Handwritten, dense with equations and technical drawings. Multiple witnesses confirmed it, that document was there, and then within hours it wasn't. The FBI arrived. Agents sealed the room. They called in Dr. John G. Trump, an MIT professor and government consultant tasked with evaluating whether Tesla's papers contained anything dangerous or militarily significant. Dr. Trump spent 2 days examining Tesla's belongings. His official report concluded that Tesla's papers were, quote, primarily speculative and philosophical in nature, and did not contain any new sound workable principles or methods. Case closed. Nothing to see here, except there's a problem. Multiple people who saw Tesla's room immediately after his death reported that boxes of documents, notebooks, and technical papers were removed before Dr. Trump's official evaluation even began. The FBI moved faster than the family, faster than Tesla's lawyers, faster than anyone who might have had a legal right to those materials. Why the rush? What did they see? Tesla's nephew, Sava Kasanovic, arrived at the hotel expecting to collect his uncle's belongings. He was stopped at the door. Federal agents blocked him, told him the room was under government seal. When Kasanovic finally gained access days later, he found the room had been thoroughly picked over, entire trunks missing, notebooks gone, and that document, the one on the desk, nowhere to be found. Kasanovic protested. He filed complaints with the State Department. Argued that Tesla's possessions belonged to his family, not the U.S. government. The FBI's response was polite but firm. National security concerns, wartime protocols. The materials would be returned once evaluated. Some were, most weren't. And the document from the desk was never mentioned again. It simply ceased to exist in any official record. So what was Tesla working on in those final years? Here's where it gets strange. Tesla had been obsessed with what he called Teleforce, a directed energy weapon that could project a concentrated beam of particles with enough force to destroy anything in its path. He pitched it to the U.S. War Department in 1937. They rejected it, called it impractical. Tesla tried the British. They passed. The Soviets showed interest but never funded it. By 1943, Tesla was still refining the concept. Letters he wrote in his last months reference breakthroughs in particle acceleration and energy focusing. He claimed he'd solved the final engineering challenges, that the weapon was no longer theoretical but buildable. And here's the kicker. Tesla told multiple people, including a junior engineer who visited him in 1942, that he'd completed a final schematic. A master document that contained everything needed to construct the device. One paper, complete specifications. That engineer, Kenneth Swezey, later told researchers that Tesla described this document as his final gift to humanity, a weapon so powerful it would make war obsolete because no nation would dare attack another if every country possessed it. Mutually assured destruction. Decades before the atomic bomb made that concept a global reality. There's another theory, one that doesn't involve weapons at all. Some researchers believe the document wasn't about Teleforce, it was about wireless energy transmission, Tesla's true obsession, his life's work. He'd spent decades trying to prove that electrical energy could be transmitted through the air, through the earth, without wires, freely available to everyone. Imagine it, no power lines, no electric bills, energy drawn directly from the atmosphere or the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. Free. Unlimited, accessible. In 1901, Tesla started building Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, a massive structure designed to demonstrate wireless power transmission on a global scale. He secured funding from J.P. Morgan, one of the richest men in America. But when Morgan realized Tesla's system would make electricity free, he pulled the funding. The project collapsed. Tesla never recovered financially, but he never stopped working on it. Letters and notes from Tesla's later years show he continued refining the mathematics of wireless energy. He believed he'd found a way to tap into the Earth's natural resonance, to amplify and transmit power efficiently without loss. If that document contained those final calculations, proven workable, the implications would be catastrophic. For the entire energy industry, for governments that profit from controlling power infrastructure, for every corporation built on selling electricity. That document would be more dangerous than any weapon because it would destabilize the entire global economy, and it would do so overnight. Now here's where the story takes a darker turn. In 1952, 9 years after Tesla's death, the FBI quietly returned some of his papers to his family. Not all of them, just selected documents deemed non-sensitive. The bulk of Tesla's work, estimated at over 80 trunks full of notebooks, blueprints, and experimental data, remained in government hands. Much of it was eventually transferred to the Tesla Museum in Belgrade, but researchers who have studied those archives say significant gaps exist. Entire years missing, notebooks referenced in Tesla's letters that simply aren't there, and no mention anywhere in any official record of the document that was on his desk the night he died. It's as if it never existed, except we know it did. Too many witnesses, too many people saw it before the FBI arrived. The government didn't just take that document, they erased it from history. In the 1980s, Freedom of Information requests forced the FBI to release some files related to Tesla, heavily redacted, pages and pages of blacked-out text, but a few things slipped through. References to highly sensitive materials removed from Tesla's residence, notes about special storage protocols, and one line barely readable that sent chills through researchers. Document exhibits potential applications inconsistent with public safety and economic stability. Not military danger, not weapon specifications, economic stability. That language suggests the document wasn't a threat because it could destroy, it was a threat because it could disrupt, change systems, undermine established power structures. And if that's true, then the FBI didn't take that document to protect national security, they took it to protect the status quo. But let's go deeper, because there's another layer most people never hear about. In 1943, the same year Tesla died, the U.S. Navy conducted a series of highly classified experiments in Philadelphia. The goal, according to later reports, was to make a ship invisible to radar. The project allegedly involved powerful electromagnetic fields, experimental technology, and theoretical physics that most scientists at the time said was impossible. The Philadelphia experiment. Officially, the Navy denies it ever happened, but declassified documents confirm that the Navy was absolutely experimenting with electromagnetic field manipulation during World War II. And here's the connection. Tesla had written extensively about electromagnetic field resonance, invisibility, and the manipulation of matter through high-frequency energy fields. He'd proposed that objects could be made undetectable by surrounding them with specific electromagnetic frequencies that bent light and radar waves around them. Sound familiar? Now consider the timing. Tesla dies in January 1943. The Philadelphia experiment allegedly happens in October 1943, 9 months later, just enough time to study a recently acquired document, test its theories, build a prototype. Is it possible that the document on Tesla's desk contained the key to the Philadelphia experiment? That the Navy used Tesla's final work to attempt something so dangerous, so reality-warping, that it's been covered up ever since? Here's what we know for sure. Dr. John G. Trump, the man tasked with evaluating Tesla's papers, wasn't just any professor. He was deeply connected to military research, worked on radar technology, advised on high-voltage systems. After the war, he became a key figure in the development of radiation therapy and particle acceleration, technologies that require a deep understanding of the exact principles Tesla was working on. Dr. Trump's official report said Tesla's papers were speculative and contained nothing dangerous. But consider this. If you found something genuinely revolutionary, something that could change the balance of global power, would you write that in a public report, or would you classify it, bury it, and tell the world there was nothing to see? Dr. Trump died in 1985. He never spoke publicly about what he found in Tesla's room, never gave interviews about the evaluation, never clarified what was taken or why, and the document from the desk remained missing. In 2016, over 70 years after Tesla's death, the FBI released another batch of Tesla-related files. More redactions, more gaps, but researchers found something interesting. A reference to a secondary evaluation conducted in 1945, 2 years after Tesla's death. After the war ended, this evaluation involved multiple agencies, not just the FBI, the Office of Strategic Services, precursor to the CIA, military intelligence, the Atomic Energy Commission, Why would all these agencies suddenly be interested in a dead inventor's papers 2 years after the fact, unless something in those papers proved relevant, useful, dangerous? The 1945 evaluation was never completed according to available records, or if it was, the results are still classified. But the fact that it happened at all suggests the initial assessment, the one that said Tesla's work was harmless, wasn't the whole story. Someone higher up wanted a second look, wanted to make absolutely sure nothing slipped through. Now let's talk about what Tesla believed in his final years, because understanding his mindset helps us understand what might have been in that document. Tesla wasn't just a scientist, he was a philosopher, a mystic in his own way. He believed the universe was governed by frequencies, vibrations, and resonance. He famously said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. In his later years, Tesla became increasingly obsessed with the number 3, 6, and 9. He believed these numbers held the key to understanding the fabric of reality itself. He claimed that if humanity could harness the natural frequencies of the Earth, we could access unlimited energy, communicate instantaneously across any distance, and even influence weather and geological events. Wild claims, but Tesla had a track record of being right when everyone else said he was crazy. Alternating current, radio, remote control, neon lighting, X-ray technology. Tesla predicted or invented all of them, and he did so decades before the rest of the world caught up. So when Tesla said in his final years that he'd achieved the culmination of his life's work, that he'd unlocked something fundamental, why wouldn't the government take that seriously? Here's another angle that almost nobody talks about. In the months before his death, Tesla received several visitors. Some were old colleagues, some were engineers seeking advice, and some were people whose identities were never recorded. Hotel staff reported men in dark suits visiting Tesla late at night. Conversations through the door, Tesla refusing to let them in. One maid recalled overhearing Tesla shouting, "I will not sell it. It belongs to the world, not to governments." Who was he talking to? What were they trying to buy? And why did these visits stop abruptly in the weeks before Tesla's death? Researchers have speculated that Tesla was approached by various intelligence agencies, both American and foreign, attempting to acquire his final work. Some believe Tesla refused every offer, determined that his inventions would be released publicly, not weaponized or monopolized. But if that's true, then his sudden death raises uncomfortable questions: natural causes or convenient timing. The official cause of death was coronary thrombosis, a heart attack. Tesla was 86. It's not suspicious on the surface, but Tesla had no history of heart disease. His personal physician who treated him for years said Tesla's heart was strong, and yet he died suddenly, alone, with a document on his desk that disappeared within hours. Now fast forward to today. You'd think after 80 years the truth would come out. Documents would be declassified, someone would leak the real story, but here's the thing. In 2018, researchers filed another Freedom of Information Act request specifically asking for any remaining Tesla documents held by the FBI or other federal agencies. The response: most materials have been returned to the Tesla estate or transferred to the Tesla Museum. Any remaining documents are classified for national security reasons and cannot be released at this time. National security reasons, 80 years later, for the work of a man who died before the atomic bomb, before computers, before most of the technology we take for granted today. What could possibly still be classified, unless the principles Tesla discovered aren't outdated, unless they're still relevant, still dangerous, still too disruptive to release? Some researchers believe that document, the one from Tesla's desk, is sitting in a vault somewhere. Maybe at the Pentagon, maybe at a black site research facility. Maybe it's been studied, tested, and quietly integrated into classified programs we'll never hear about. Others think it was destroyed, that whoever read it realized the implications and decided humanity wasn't ready, that we might never be ready. But here's the possibility that keeps people searching for answers. What if that document wasn't taken to hide a weapon or suppress free energy? What if it contained something even more fundamental? Tesla believed that energy, matter, and consciousness were all connected. He claimed that the human mind could influence physical reality through focused thought and resonance. In his final notebooks, he wrote about experiments involving thought transmission, mental influence over electromagnetic fields, and the possibility that consciousness itself was a form of energy that could be measured, amplified, and broadcast. Imagine a document that proved consciousness could directly affect matter, that human thought could be weaponized, transmitted, or controlled, that reality itself was malleable if you understood the right frequencies. If that's what Tesla discovered, if that's what he wrote down in his final hours, then taking that document wasn't about suppressing technology. It was about suppressing a truth that would shatter every assumption we have about the nature of reality. The witnesses who saw Tesla's room before the FBI arrived, the maid, the hotel manager, a building engineer, they all described the same thing. A single piece of paper, covered in handwriting, diagrams in the margins, equations so dense they filled every available space. One witness said the handwriting looked frantic, almost desperate, like Tesla was racing against time to get everything down before it was too late. Another said the paper looked burned at the edges, not from fire, just discolored. darkened as if it had been exposed to something intense. The hotel manager later told an investigator that when he briefly glanced at the document, his eyes couldn't focus on it properly. The symbols seemed to shift, blur. He assumed his vision was off. That stress was playing tricks on him. But what if it wasn't his vision? What if whatever Tesla had written, whatever frequencies or principles he'd encoded into those symbols, was already affecting reality around it? Subscribe if you're still here, because the next part is the one they really don't want you thinking about. After Tesla's papers were seized, several researchers who'd worked with him or had access to his notes reported strange experiences. Sudden career derailments, lab accidents, entire research projects shut down without explanation. One engineer who claimed to have seen Tesla's Teleforce schematics in the 1930s attempted to reconstruct the device in 1950. His lab burned down, no cause ever determined. He never attempted the project again. Another scientist who corresponded with Tesla in the 1940s and claimed Tesla had shared key details about wireless energy transmission died in 1955 in a car accident. His personal papers, including all letters from Tesla, were never recovered from the crash site. Coincidence? Maybe, but the pattern repeats. Anyone who got too close to Tesla's final work, anyone who claimed to understand what he was really working on, either stopped talking or disappeared from public record. And the document itself, the one physical artifact that could answer every question, remains missing, hidden or destroyed. We may never know which. The last mystery. In 1976, a researcher named Margaret Storm published a book claiming she'd interviewed people who worked at the New Yorker Hotel in 1943. According to her sources, the document on Tesla's desk wasn't written in English. It was written in a language nobody recognized, a series of symbols that didn't match any known alphabet. Some witnesses thought it was Serbian or another Slavic language written in an obscure script. Others said it didn't look like any human language at all. Storm suggested that Tesla in his final days had developed his own symbolic language, a mathematical and conceptual shorthand that only he could fully understand. If true, that would explain why the government couldn't simply photograph the document and return it. The symbols themselves were the key. Without Tesla to decode them, the document was useless, or worse, dangerous. What if someone tried to interpret it incorrectly? Built something based on a misunderstanding? The consequences could be catastrophic. So the safest option was to lock it away, keep it hidden, and let the world believe it never mattered in the first place. Here's what we're left with. A brilliant man dies alone with a mysterious document on his desk. The government seizes it within hours. The document vanishes. 80 years later, it's still classified or missing, and everyone who might know the truth is dead. No answers, just questions. What was Tesla writing in his final hours? Was it a weapon, a power source, a map to technologies we still don't understand, or was it something deeper? A glimpse into the fundamental nature of reality that we're still not ready to comprehend. Maybe the document is sitting in a vault gathering dust. Maybe it was destroyed decades ago. Or maybe, just maybe, someone read it, understood it, and decided that some knowledge is too dangerous to share, that some truths would tear apart the systems we've built, and that the world is better off never knowing what Nikola Tesla figured out in the last moments of his life. Whatever was on that desk, the FBI made sure it stayed a secret, and 80 years later it still is. The question that haunts researchers even today is whether Tesla's work actually influenced the technologies we use now without knowing it. Think about it: wireless communication. Tesla invented that. We take it for granted with our phones and Wi-Fi, but he demonstrated it over a century ago. Remote control, his invention, used everywhere now. Neon lighting, Tesla. X-rays, Tesla's research contributed significantly. He was right about so much. So when he claimed in those final years that he'd solved wireless power transmission, that he'd cracked the code on free energy, why should we dismiss it? Why should we assume he was wrong about the one thing that mattered most to him? The technology we use today might actually be based on principles Tesla discovered, but that were never publicly attributed to him. Our modern understanding of electromagnetic fields, of frequency and resonance, of how energy moves through space, all of it has roots in Tesla's work. Some researchers believe that classified government programs have been quietly implementing Tesla's discoveries for decades. That's why we haven't seen wireless power infrastructure. Not because it's impossible, but because it was suppressed. Because the moment free energy becomes available, the entire power industry collapses. Billions of dollars in infrastructure becomes worthless. Governments lose control over energy distribution. The geopolitical balance shifts overnight. So the document stays hidden, the secret stays buried, and we keep paying for electricity as if wireless power transmission is still science fiction. But here's something most people never consider. What if the document wasn't meant to be hidden forever? What if Tesla left clues, embedded information in his other papers, his notebooks, his letters, things that wouldn't immediately stand out to someone just scanning the materials? But if you knew what to look for, if you had Tesla's mindset, you could reconstruct the essential ideas. The Tesla Museum in Belgrade holds thousands of pages of his handwritten notes. Researchers have been studying them for years. Some claim they've found references to the final breakthrough, calculations that only make sense if you understand a specific theoretical framework, diagrams that hint at technology we don't officially acknowledge. Are these researchers onto something, or are they seeing patterns that aren't there the way our brains naturally look for meaning in chaos? It's impossible to say without the original document, without context, without Tesla's own explanation of what he was trying to accomplish. There's also the matter of what happened to Tesla's physical inventions and experimental equipment. He built things, prototypes, working models. Not everything was theoretical. He had apparatus for transmitting wireless energy, devices for electromagnetic field manipulation, machines that supposedly could influence weather patterns. Where did these end up? The government seized his papers, but what about the actual hardware? Some of it was at Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island. That facility was demolished in 1917. But before demolition, before the site was cleared, wasn't there an opportunity for those in the know to salvage anything important? To move Tesla's equipment somewhere safe, somewhere secure? Did the military take possession of working Tesla devices? Did they study them? Did they reverse engineer them? Or did everything truly get destroyed? The records don't say, and that silence is deafening. Consider also the people Tesla knew in government. He had connections that mattered. He'd worked with George Westinghouse, competed against Edison for control of the power industry, corresponded with military officials who understood the potential of his work. Some of these people or their successors would have known the value of his research, would have understood what he was capable of. So when Tesla died, when that document appeared on his desk, there were people in positions of power who cared deeply about what happened next. People who had the authority to mobilize federal agencies immediately. People who could ensure that whatever Tesla left behind was protected from public view. The official story about Dr. Trump's evaluation might be just that, a story, a cover for what was actually a much more coordinated effort to acquire and secure Tesla's work. A narrative designed to make it seem like routine government procedure rather than targeted suppression. Then there's the international angle nobody wants to talk about. Tesla was Serbian by birth. He had family still living in Europe. He maintained correspondence with people behind the Iron Curtain. In 1943, with World War II still raging, the geopolitical situation was unstable. If Soviet intelligence had known about a document in Tesla's possession that contained revolutionary scientific principles, would they have sent agents to try to obtain it? Would the American government have moved aggressively to ensure the Russians never got it? That would explain the urgency, the speed, the bypass of normal legal procedures. It wasn't just about American interests, it was about preventing any hostile foreign power from acquiring technology that could shift the balance of global power. That's the kind of thing that makes governments act fast, that makes them break rules, that makes them take extraordinary measures to keep secrets. Here's another thought that deserves consideration. What if multiple factions wanted that document? What if the FBI wasn't the only agency racing to Tesla's room? What if military intelligence, naval intelligence, different branches of government, all converging on that hotel, all trying to secure Tesla's work before the others could? The official record shows the FBI arrived first. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if there was competition? What if different groups obtained different materials? What if the document ended up not in one vault, but scattered across multiple classified facilities, each containing pieces of a larger puzzle that no single agency has put together? That would explain why the FBI's official report could say nothing dangerous was found while simultaneously hundreds of pages of documents remain classified decades later. Because the truth is compartmentalized, divided, deliberately fragmented so that no single person or group ever has the complete picture. And then there's the possibility that someone did understand the document. Someone read it, decoded it, grasped what Tesla had actually accomplished, and that person built upon it, improved it, developed it further in secret. If that happened, if Tesla's final work became the foundation for a classified research program, then the document itself might matter less now than it did in 1943. The breakthrough happened, the technology developed. And now it's integrated into systems we'll never see or hear about, systems that operate at levels of government and industry we don't have access to. The document would stay classified not because it's still dangerous in its raw form, but because declassifying it would prove that the government has been hiding the existence of this technology from the public for 80 years. That's a much bigger problem than the technology itself. That's proof of conspiracy, proof of deception on a massive scale. Proof that we've been lied to about what's possible. What would you do if you were in that position? If you were someone in government who knew the truth, knew that Tesla had solved the problem of wireless power transmission, knew that free energy was possible, buildable, achievable, knew that this knowledge had been hidden for decades, would you leak it, risk your career, your freedom, maybe your life, or would you keep quiet, maintain the status quo, accept that the system is too big to change? That's the real constraint on truth, not the classified stamp. Not the security clearances, but human nature, self-preservation, the rational choice to protect yourself over challenging a system that has made you complicit. So here we are, 80 years later. Tesla's document remains missing or classified. His final inventions scattered, destroyed, or reverse engineered in secret. The witnesses who saw the document are gone. The investigators who seized it are dead. The government agencies involved have moved on to new secrets, new mysteries, new classified technologies that we don't know about and probably never will. And the world continues operating on the assumption that wireless power transmission is impossible. That free energy doesn't exist. That the future will be just like the present with power lines and electric bills and centralized control over energy distribution. We accept this future because we don't know there was another option. Tesla knew. Tesla proved it was possible, or at least claimed he had, and the evidence vanished. Thank you for spending this time with me exploring one of the deepest mysteries of the 20th century. A mystery that might not be a mystery at all if one document hadn't disappeared. A mystery that might have changed everything. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep digging into the things hidden from plain sight, the technologies that don't officially exist, the truths that governments prefer to keep classified, the questions that need answers. We'll be back soon with more stories that make you think. More mysteries that make you wonder, more evidence that the world is far stranger and more complex than we're usually told. Thanks for watching. See you next time.